So there's this great quote. It only takes one lie to ruin a relationship. Because the reality is that once you plant that seed of doubt, once you plant that seed of deceit, you give a person reasons to now question everything that you got to say. And that one lie can start to create all kinds of insecurities and create a very negative, unhealthy environment in a relationship. And it's just downright a problem that so many people have faced and experienced in their own relationships or situationships or whatever some people are getting involved in. So it begs the question, why do men keep lying to women? Like, why are there so many men who are constantly telling lies, especially when we consider so many are not even good at lying and eventually they're going to get caught anyway. So it's almost like, what's really the purpose here? And I get asked this question a lot by women, trying to understand the motivation, what is driving the man's intent to take this route rather than just be honest about it. Now, I'm going to break this whole thing down, and I need you to listen to the end, because there's a very important message I have for you at the end about this whole lying situation, all right, that you really have to understand, and it's going to bring you a lot of peace and clarity. But let's start breaking down some of these reasons why men will lie to women. And one of those reasons is because they're immature and have unresolved issues. Now, this is not to simply just attack men or bash them, but it's the reality is that I'm going to say this. I have a good friend of mine, and we believe one of the pillars of being a man, or even pillars of walking your masculinity, is being honest. Like, you have to accept that you're not going to always get what you want. You got to accept that it's not going to always create the greatest scenario, but you at least stand in your truth, right? And that takes maturity to understand it, and a maturity that a lot of men have yet to develop. But before I go deeper into the maturity issue, I want to go into the deeper unresolved issues issue, because I had a man recently reach out to me who said, I need help. I love my woman. You know, she's great. I don't want to lose her, but I keep lying to her. And I don't understand why. It's not about anything important. I'm just lying about nonsense, really. And I can't seem to stop myself from doing it. Can you help me? So this is not to create sympathy, so to speak, for a liar, but it is to speak to the reality that there are men with deeper unresolved issues that cause them to lie. And men like this, it's not even just lying to women. I know of men who lie to their homeboys all the time about the stupidest stuff. Like, it's so unnecessary for them to lie, and they still do it. Now, from what I have examined, right, the root of it seems to be, one, some men the insecurity they have, and they're seeking a level of attention, validation. They want people to look at them a certain way. They tend to embellish everything. So they tell lies because they want to shine a good spotlight on themselves. They tell lies because they want to hype up a situation because it's going to make them look good. They're going to lie about what happened in a story because, again, they want to come out looking like the man or whatever the case may be. This desire to be revered and looked at a certain kind of way pushes them to lie because the truth won't get them any points. All right? Again, not saying this is okay, just explaining it to you. Another reason why some lie is because they're just so insecure about themselves that they just feel like the truth will never be good enough. Okay? Like, somehow it kind of goes back to the whole wanting to be viewed a certain kind of way. They have to either add extra to a story or they have to make certain things up because they want to come out looking a certain way, and they feel like the real them isn't good enough for whatever they're trying to accomplish or however they're trying to be seen in people's eyes. Okay? Then you have deeper issues where some people just have grown up in very dysfunctional households, and lying is almost a part of their life, you know, and they just habitually lie. And those individuals need therapy. They need help. It's not anything you can fix in them, okay? They have to be willing to go address the deeper issues themselves and learn how to stand in their truth. So going back to the fact that in also their immaturity of it, they have not learned how to accept the realities of what happens when you lie. And one of those realities is that when you lie, you are likely to create more lies trying to uphold the first lie. Okay? So a lot of men do not understand it. And again, we can say people, right? But we're focusing on men, but I just want to acknowledge, I think we all know men and women have told lies and tell lies, right? But a lot of people, when they're younger and immature, don't consider the fact of what rabbit hole you're sending yourself down by telling this initial lie, and how exhausting it can be to have to uphold that lie with more lies and trying to cover your tracks and all this extra stuff that goes into it. And so I think for a lot of people, once you get older, you realize it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. Once you mature, and when I say get older, once you mature, because that's the key. Some people gotten older and still haven't gotten mature, okay? And some people are young and have matured very quickly. Once you mature, once you gain wisdom and knowledge and understanding of things, you realize it's just not worth it. All right, all that will come with it. And then you could do all that work, right? Try to cover all your tracks and you still get caught and found out. So now you have to deal with the exhausting process of keeping it going. Then you still have to deal with the consequences of them finding out you lied, on top of the fact that now if it happens within a romantic relationship, you have undermined the trust in that relationship. So these are things that a lot of men have not considered and instead are reacting in the moment, okay? And that's another sign of immaturity, is not thinking ahead, not understanding the bigger picture, but instead just reacting in the moment to whatever it is they're fearful of or whatever they're trying to portray about themselves, whatever the case may be. But before I go to the next point, I just want to reinforce, I want to repeat to you, the men that have the deeper issues as to why they lie and the immaturity of why they lie, trust and believe they're lying to everyone, men and women. I see it all the time. So it speaks to their lack of development as an individual, and hopefully in time they're going to grow up and figure it out. All right, so now another reason why men lie to women is because he feels that if he tells you the truth, he won't get what he actually wants, okay? So let's start with one of the most common things that men feel like they won't get if they're honest about it, and that's sex. Let's just, we're going to keep it real here, right? And, I always laugh at the whole, you hear a lot of women say it. You might be one of those women that'll say, oh, if a man would just tell us that's what he wants, then maybe he'll just get it, right? Stop the nonsense, right? Like, listen, it is best for a man to be honest. And I encourage men to just be straightforward. Don't play games, because again, you want to give people an opportunity to make the decision for themselves and know what they're getting themselves into. To me, we got to eliminate all the deceit and the games and all this type of stuff. So at least if people want to engage in different situations and casual relationships, at least they're doing so understanding what it is rather than being led on that it's something else, okay? But if men really thought, or if men saw that being straightforward about wanting to sleep with you actually would work, they would do it. Right? They would have no problem doing it. They don't do it because it typically is not going to work. Now, here's an interesting thing that I've observed. You as a woman can correct me if I'm wrong, or you may have a different opinion. But I have spoken to some women who have acknowledged that there are some situations where the woman can come into the situation actually only wanting to sleep with the man as well, right? That's her only desire. She doesn't view him as anything more. She just wants to have fun with him. However, the minute he says to her directly, I just want to sleep with you and that's it, it's dead. She don't want to do it no more. Like she had no problem when it was her who essentially viewed him as just a play toy, right? But he still desired her. Versus to be made felt like that's all she is desired from him for. And now it's like she feels like I'm cheapening myself or devaluing myself by allowing him to move forward. Now, is that every woman's reaction? No, but that's what some have acknowledged. So I say all that to say a lot of men have experienced that being straightforward doesn't get that result. So what that lends to is now more men being vague about it. Which is why, as a woman, though men need to be honest, you're never guaranteed if you're going to end up dealing with an honest man or a man who's going to lie. So you have to equip yourself with how you can see through the nonsense and evaluate what this man is really about. And that's why it's important to ask questions. That's why it's important to recognize the signs of a man who is trying to be serious versus the signs of a man who just wants to sleep with you. Because he's not going to always give you that. Some men will. Some men, if you just ask them, they'll tell you, right? They may not come out and say it directly, but if you flat out ask, they're more likely to just answer the question honestly. But if you don't, they'll go along being vague because that has worked more efficiently for a lot of men. And so whether it's just have sex, whether it's for some men out there, unfortunately, they're out here using women for a place to stay, for a car to drive, for help with the bills, you name it. He's not going to be honest about that because he knows that will undermine his ability to receive it. And let's face it, that's probably one of the biggest driving forces for anyone to tell a lie, is that they're afraid they're not going to get what they wanted if they're honest about it. And so again, it's just something to understand. And you have to realize that you can never rely on someone to be good to you in the way that says they will present honesty versus you have to say, I have to be ready to seek out that honesty, so to speak, or seek out that clarity, I think is a better way to put it, in order to make sure you don't fall into any unwanted situations with a man who's on a different page than you. All right, so let's keep this thing going. And another reason why men lie to women is that he's not comfortable opening up to you, okay? So let's understand that not every lie is about like some big overall situation that's like cheating or inappropriate behavior, things of that nature. Sometimes the lies are a lot small. I use the word smaller in the sense of the magnitude of it, but a lie is a lie, you know what I'm saying? And they can still wreak havoc even with the small lies. But let's face it, sometimes it could be as simple as you asking him, where he was at. And let's just say he wasn't in the mood to talk to you. He was shutting down, or maybe he felt like he couldn't. He went to go talk to his mother or something. He didn't want to make you feel some kind of way about it. So he lied and said, oh, no, I was out playing ball. But in reality, he was out speaking to his mom about a situation that you're wondering why he doesn't speak to me about it, right? And so there's a lot of men who, in general, on average, a lot of men struggle with opening up. I think most of us, or most of you, can acknowledge that you've seen that, you observed that. But I do think that on top of men's own issue that they have to resolve of struggling to open up, there's also the other layer of it where a lot of women don't realize how they've reacted in moments that he was opening up, and then how that now affects his willingness to do so going forward. Now, I am not someone who believes, like, if you can't open up to your partner because of how they react and handle things, to me, the answer isn't shut down. The answer isn't stop being honest about certain things. The answer is address it. And if it can't be corrected, then maybe we don't belong in a relationship together. But the unfortunate reality is that a lot of men choose to just deal with it, but they deal with it in a very unhealthy way, such as shutting down, such as not being as forthcoming anymore. one of the reasons why that happens is because for some men, unfortunately, the perception is this is a woman thing, meaning all women are like this. Like I'm sure you've heard on the internet before, some of you may have heard, where some have told men never open up to a woman or never be vulnerable with a woman. She's going to throw it back in your face, right? And they view it as like, this is just what happened, so I'm not going to leave this woman for this reason because some other woman's going to do the same thing anyway. I'm just going to deal with it, but again, I'm not going to be as transparent with her as I would have been initially. So that's a wrong way of handling it, absolutely. But as a woman, you do have to be mindful of how you react, because sometimes you don't recognize that you allow your emotions to get the best of you in that moment, and how you may have reacted very negatively, or how you may have been very dismissive in that moment that he was opening up, and we're going to talk about a little bit more later, very judgmental. We'll get into that later. There's various things that happen in moments that men try to be more vulnerable, or the big one is if whatever it is he needs to be honest about and vulnerable about is something that he feels will cause him to lose respect in your eyes, that leads to a lot of shutting down, being dishonest, all these things, because that's one of the biggest fears a man has with a woman. Especially if he cares about how you feel, like he's really genuine about being with you and he's into you. He doesn't want you to view him in a less respectful manner. You know what I'm saying? That's a knife to the heart for a lot of men, for the woman that you care about to not have that respect for you anymore. So that unfortunately creates these situations, or contributes to a lot of these situations. So I think the way that we navigate through this specific one is, one, I think it's important for everyone when we're dating or in a relationship is to create the parameters of how we communicate, the parameters of how we open up about very serious issues and situations. Maybe even starting off with, hey, I want to talk to you about this, but I don't want you to look at me any differently. Now, does that always guarantee that you won't, depending on what he's about to reveal? Of course not, right? But it's kind of like the trigger word that says, hey, be mindful of how you react right now. Because even if he reveals something to you that you don't like or that you find unacceptable, whatever, unless you're prepared to leave that man right there, there's no point in reacting bad in that moment. Okay? So my thing is, if he says, for example, I don't have a good example right now, but if he reveals something, you don't like it, and this thing is not enough to where you're going to leave him. Let's just use the fact that, my ex reached out to me the other day and I was on the phone with her for like an hour and she had some questions. And you don't like that. You feel like that was disrespectful. Why would you allow this woman to sit there and have this conversation with you and not tell me about it in advance, right? That may or may not be your position, but let's just say that's your position. If you react bad in that moment, negative in that moment, you think he's going to be honest with you the next time something like that occurs? No, right? Because he doesn't want all the negativity that comes with it. But if you learn how to just stay calm, it doesn't mean you have to like it, doesn't mean you're accepting it, doesn't mean you're deeming it acceptable. It just means you're allowing yourself to process, hear it out, and calmly express your disappointment or your disagreement with it. That at least helps. It can still lead to that man not being as open next time, but that's different. If you are responding in a healthy manner, then it is completely on him if he tries to use that as a reason to not be honest moving forward. You know what I'm saying? But if you react in a very negative manner, you're adding fuel to the fire of him shutting down. And I think that's something that we have to discuss in advance as far as how we create that environment, that safe space, so that we can be open and vulnerable with each other as much as possible. All right, so let's keep this going. Another reason why men lie, and I mentioned it, so let's dive a little deeper into it. He fears your judgment. Okay? So I'll say this. I feel like this actually happens more with women, in the sense of women holding back certain truths and not always being as honest as could be because they're concerned about how the man will judge them and look at them going forward. But this does happen with the men as well. All right. And the fear of judgment has paralyzed a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And not only does it lead to like a flat out verbal lie for a lot of people, it can lead to a lot of people lying in how they present themselves and being their true self. Okay? Like I'm a firm believer that if you want to be able to, one, see if somebody truly fits into your life as quickly as possible, and you want to be able to see their true colors as fast as possible for the sake of recognizing that maybe they're just not it, right? You want to create an environment that of no judgment, okay? So it's basically, because understand there's a difference between judgment and recognizing we're not a good fit here, okay? So for example, let's just say you meet a man and he's into really kinky stuff, some super freaky things, okay? And some people will immediately come off very judgmental. Look, that you're oh, that's so nasty. What's wrong with you? Blah, 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 right? And to me, the problem with that is, especially again, if you're not prepared to just walk away, you've created an environment where now they're going to be afraid to show their true selves because of how you look down on them. Versus, I can sit here and say, oh, okay, you into those types of things? I get it. I mean, I don't know if I get it, but I understand that's your taste. And hey, that's you, do you. That makes you happy, cool. But that won't work for me. Like I don't think I can engage in those acts, right? So I'm not judging you. I'm not calling you out in any kind of way. I'm not looking down on you. But I can still say, hey, nah, that doesn't fit how I like to get down. I think we should go our separate ways. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's better because, again, so many people, there are people who have gotten married, never showing their partner the true depth of who they are because of the fear of judgment. And I think this happens even more so in couples that are believers. All right, in what do you want to call it, religious or spiritual couples, and this could be Muslim, Christian, whatever. If the other person, so let's just say the man or the woman gets with a partner who is very religious, right, very by the book, but they really like this person's a good person, they become very fearful of exposing those sides of them that maybe don't go well with the belief system, all right? Or what some in that belief system may look down upon. Now, again, people may differ. Like, for example, the one that's coming to mind right now, don't judge me, but like there are some believers who believe that oral sex is unnatural and should not be done, and you're nasty, and what's wrong with you? How could you put that in your mouth? I'm sorry, but they think it's disgusting, okay? And now, me personally, I think it's one of the greatest things ever created. But that's a whole different discussion. And listen, I get it. If you're someone who feels that is not appropriate, fine. I don't think we should judge someone because you may view them as too prude or too strict or whatever. And I don't think someone should be judged because they want to engage in those things. I just think we need to recognize, okay, right or wrong, fair or not fair, it's not a good fit. If this is an important thing to you, it's not a good fit. But the judgment or the fear of it sometimes just causes people to suppress that desire or that side of themselves because they want to be with you rather than you getting to see who they really are. And then it still ends up becoming a problem later. So I don't think anyone does themselves any favors by creating an environment that's judgmental. And, I just think it stifles a lot of people from either really coming together in a relationship or seeing a lot quickly that this isn't it here. But it is one of the reasons why some men will lie to a woman. All right, so we got a couple more to go. So we're going to run through these kind of quick. So another reason why men lie to women, or a man will lie to a woman, is bottom line, he's just not that serious about you. All right? And the reality is that when a man is not serious about a woman, a lot of men don't want, it's like they want to create this emotional distance, so to speak. So they're not going to be transparent. They're not going to be open. They're not going to be always honest about things. One, because they don't care to tell you the truth. They don't care to be real with you. They don't care to give you insight or allow you to get any closer to them emotionally, because they're trying to keep this at a very surface level and enjoy you for whatever they're trying to enjoy you for, or get out of you whatever they're trying to get out of you. So they have no intention of being real with you. All right. Now, again, one could say, well, being real isn't that hard, but understand that if he's not serious about you, but he's trying to still deal with you, then chances are he will also fall into one of the other categories of essentially he's going to lie because he knows the truth will stop him from getting what he wants. Okay. So whatever he's trying to use you for, he can't just say that's what it is. He can't just say, yeah, I'm just trying to have some fun here and that's it. Now, listen, some guys will keep it that real. Some guys will tell you straight up, I'm not looking for nothing serious. I just want to have fun. That's it. Go with the flow. I tell y'all that whole go with the flow thing, that's a dangerous phrase when people use that. You got to be careful. But, some will say that. And as a woman, you have to really be mindful of not, like, I know we say actions speak louder than words. But when it comes to relationships and dating, the words and the actions have to be consistently aligning together, okay? If one is inconsistent with the other, there's a problem. And you almost have to, I want to say you have to default to what's being said, but even that can be dangerous because he could say, yeah, I really want to be with you, but his actions show you something different. You almost have to default to the lower of the two. Here's what I mean by that. Which, if one of them is showing a lack of true intention, a lack of seriousness, a lack of real desire to be with you, whether that's the actions or the words, you almost have to roll with that. But I can tell you that if a man is willing to come out of his mouth and say to you, I'm not looking for anything serious, I'm just trying to have fun, I don't want a relationship, he means that. He means that. I don't care if he says that and follows it up by buying you flowers the next day, treats you to beautiful things, takes you to a nice restaurant, take you on this amazing trip, throw flower petals on your bed. I don't care what romantic thing that man does. If he has allowed the word to come out of his mouth, I don't want a relationship, I just want to have fun, so on and so forth, he means that. Take him at that word right there. And you have to make your decision. If you know that's not what you're about, that's not what you're interested in, let him go. Do not let the other actions confuse you. Okay? And just so you know, like there's a book I wrote called He's Lying Sis. You can check it out. Go to he'slyingsis.com, click the link in the description or the comment section. But there's a chapter called He Doesn't Want a Girlfriend, but He Acts Like Your Boyfriend. And it breaks down how there's men out there who can engage in these very boyfriend, even husband acts while still having no desire to ever be fully committed to you. So you want to be mindful of that. But this is another one of those contributing factors to why these men lie. He's just not serious about you. So again, we got a couple more. I said that last time, but for real, we got a couple more. So the next one, another reason why men will lie to women, and hear me out, because this might make some of y'all react a certain kind of way, but hear me out. Because the perception or the belief is you can't handle the truth. All right? So whether that specifically applies to you as a woman, the reality is that a lot of men have experienced being honest, being forthcoming, and only having the woman react very poorly. Or let's go even beyond that. And let's use the whole I don't want a relationship thing. I know of situations where men have given me the story, and I know there's always two sides, but I've even had this acknowledged by some women where the man can meet the woman and say, I don't want a relationship. I have no plans on anything serious here. Or even had some stories where men would tell a woman, I have no intentions of ever being monogamous. Okay? That's just who I am. That's how I get down. If you're cool with that, cool, but that's it. All right? Or even telling the woman, I have a woman that is my main girl, so you will only ever be second at best. Okay? The woman says, all right, cool, I hear you, I'm down with it. They continue. Throughout the process, it's being repeated. This is what it is. Boom, 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 all this stuff. And then in the end, let's just say things escalate between him and his main woman or whatever. And then the woman on the side is like, oh my gosh, how could you do this to me? You betrayed me. How are you now going to be more with her? And it's like, wait a minute. He was telling you the whole situation the entire time. And so you'll have these men feel like, what is the point of being honest if, one, you don't even accept what I'm saying to you? And again, I am in no way saying this is an excusable reason or an acceptable reason to lie. I'm just telling you what the process or the mindset is by some men and what, what's happening in some of these situations. It's almost like, yo, if I tell you the truth, you react poorly. I can tell you the truth and you'll act like I never told you this is what it was. I can tell you the truth and I still have to deal with nonsense. So it's almost like you're better off lying. And you've had some women, believe it or not, there are literal videos out there in the internet floating around of women who will say, I'd rather be lied to. Out of the woman's mouth, I'd rather be lied to. So, and I've even seen some videos, and again, I don't agree with this nonsense, but like, oh, if the man really cares about a woman, he'll lie to her. There's a lot of dysfunctional beliefs that are passed down. But ultimately, the point that I want to make here is that these various scenario situations lead to the perception of the woman can't handle the truth anyway. All right. She doesn't know how to just process it, take it for what it is, or not make it a bigger thing than what it needs to be. And so to avoid all this extra drama or unnecessary nonsense, in that man's eyes, he'd rather just tell a lie. And so this kind of goes back to why, and I mentioned this in the book as well, the more you can create an environment of honesty, the better for you, because again, it allows you to see through the person or see the person for who they are as fast as possible. But when we when we contribute to environments that can cause someone to feel like they just can't be real with you, we're only undermining our own ability to then get the information that we need, so to speak. That doesn't make it your fault. It's about how do you equip yourself to give yourself the best opportunity to get the clarity that you need in situations. All right. But the whole you can't handle the truth is definitely something that a lot of men believe. And there's a reason why they choose to lie to women. All right. And now, last but not least, and remember, I have an important message I need you to hear. The last reason why men lie to women is because you accept it. Now, what I mean by that is this. If you are dealing with a man, he has told you lies, and you allow this man to continue to be with you despite these lies. And again, like I don't think giving somebody a chance after telling one lie is a bad thing. Because again, there's various reasons. It depends on the context of the situation. There's a lot we have to look at. But if the lying is a repeated pattern of behavior, and you continue to deal with him, despite no matter how much you kick, scream, have an attitude, withhold intimacy, whatever, as long as you continue to be with him, you are sending the signal that this is essentially acceptable. Again, your words can say something different, but if you're going to still be with him, you're basically telling him, all right, so to him, it's, yeah, I'll take my chances at telling the lie to avoid whatever unwanted outcome I'm trying to avoid or to get what I want or whatever the case may be. Because at the end of the day, even if you catch me, you ain't going nowhere. And Listen, if he's repeatedly lied, even if you caught him 7 times, that don't mean he didn't lie 10 other times that you just didn't catch him. So to him, it's like, all right, I'll play the odds at that point. Because again, you're not leaving him. It's when he sees, well, not even then, if he had, depending on what the issue is, but if there is no true consequence to his actions, why would there be a correction to his actions? And so you got to be mindful of, you are not enabling unhealthy behavior in a relationship. You are not essentially giving the signal that this is in some way acceptable. All right? And so you gotta back up that with not just your words, but your actions of letting him go, your actions of walking away, your actions of expressing to him, listen, if this can't be corrected, we can't continue. And then if he does it again, that's it. All right? But the message I really need you to understand is this. No matter the reason why a man is lying, and again, I think we all can agree, lying is wrong. We need to create a more honest, transparent environment in all of our relationships. We need to all be more honest and transparent as well. But the fact is, everyone on the face of this earth has told a lie before. Whether it be you view it as very small or big or whatever, everyone has done it. And I say that not to validate or make lying okay. I say that to, one, help you understand, do not internalize people lying or men lying. Because I see women who go to the situation and they're dwelling on, why did he lie? Why can't he just tell me the truth? And it's like, listen, it's really just all the things I mentioned in this video. But you don't need to view it as like, why did he lie to me? As if it's something about you. Now, again, I talked earlier about the whole, are we creating an environment that we can be honest and transparent? But ultimately, it's still, though we can contribute to some of these environments, it still boils down to this person's willingness to do what they need to do to be more honest and forthcoming. So don't internalize the man who lies, but also understand that we have all fallen short in this way. And I do think that there are some situations where a lie has been told and people are so quick to react and crucify and condemn. And it's like, take a step back, because you lied the other day. like think about it. It's like, wait a minute. You may have not got caught with your lie, but you lied too. So don't be so quick to demonize this individual for a lie. And notice I said a lie because, again, it's different. There's a difference between the person who tells a lie and the person who is a liar, as far as I see it. Because the liar, to me, is the person who continuously does this. It is part of their character. It is repeated behavior. Versus the person who is typically extremely honest with you, very open, but in a moment, they made the bad choice of not keeping it real for a deeper reason that is fixable. And we don't have to throw the whole relationship away. All right? So consider that. Consider that. But ultimately, know that honesty is what we need if we want to experience healthier and happier relationships. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on 7 tactics men will use to try to manipulate women. So the unfortunate reality is there's a lot of manipulative men out there. All right. Now, I do.
We'll be right back.